Daniel McNichol, writer and director of Reclaiming the Blade, an upcoming documentary all about the sword and its history, coming up at the top of the hour. I want to talk about how soft society's got for a second, how the iPod generation is truly softer than a marshmallow. School bans dangerous swimming goggles. Yes, in the UK, they have now banned regular swimming goggles. That's how much we have. Dodgeball wasn't enough. Swimming goggles have to be banned. But it's okay to play biometric facial recognition, voice recognition games with your Xbox, apparently. But the goggles for swimming, let's take away all physical activity outside of you bowing down to your lords at Xbox, at Microsoft. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation of Sterilization, baby. All right, let's go to Mark in Oregon. Mark, you're on the line.
Hey, good evening, Jason. How you doing, man?
All right.
Good. Jason, I got a quick news headline. Then, if you have time, I have a short idea and a comment.
All right, go for it.
The news headline is, you remember Officer Messerling at the BART station in San Francisco who recently killed that young man?
Yes.
Well, he was brought up on murder charges today by a San Francisco judge. I didn't know.
He's the 27-year-old guy that did it, right?
I think it was a 27-year-old that died. I'm not sure. I thought
how old the officer was?
Maybe a little older. I'm not sure, though.
Okay.
Yeah, Jason, the idea that I have is that, I thought perhaps that you and the crew could, through the week, like Monday through Thursday, track the callers for quality, so to speak. And on Friday, if you could arrange it through your phone system, the best one or two callers of the week could come on the show for a 20 or 30-minute segment each, and you, Jason Bermas, could pick their brains for fertile ideas and insightful opinions. I don't think this has ever been done before, Jason, and, I thought it would be very enlightening and interesting for all of us, but just something you might think about.
Maybe we should have like a super caller roundtable hour. That wouldn't be bad, and maybe we could do that. But maybe not once a week, maybe once a month. I could see that, like a Steven from Texas, Dan from Florida. Maybe we could do that. I'll look into it because we really
didn't plan myself to be involved, but I'm always interested just to hear what everybody's got because each person's their own universe of ideas and perception, and it really varies from person to person in certain ways. Usually,
no, it's true. Like some of my favorite callers was that Harley Davidson factory worker that called in, and he's talking about, hey, with all these new emissions, our company's basically going to be dead. You're not going to be able to own your bike, or they're going to tax you heavily for it because you're a bad person. Your carbon footprint is too much, and that is worth talking. Or the veteran that just got his carry and conceal permit revoked and then reinstated because of, I guess, our callers calling in the office and saying it's disgusting that this guy goes to the VA to get help and you revoke his carry and conceal permit but by trying to say that he has PTSD. So maybe that is a good idea. I thank you for the call, Mark. Let's jump to Danny in New York. Danny, you're on the line.
Yes, how's it doing? New York State, I'd like to let you know, just gave nonviolent offenders to be able to hide their nonviolent record from employers because in this state, if you have a felony, you ain't getting no job. And if not, you're getting the worst of the worst jobs. I right now am studying at ITT, hopefully to use my network administration and knowing how to use software stuff to be able to say, look, I could do this technical job with my felony, I'm smarter than most of the people that are wandering around here. I just made a mistake in the past and decided to sell drugs. So there was a couple of ADAs, the current DA and the former DA criticizing it, and some Republican guy, I can't remember which one of the people that represent in the state.
What were they criticizing?
They were criticizing that, that's going to create a public health issue. It's already public health issue when a guy who's a nonviolent offender can't get a job because he's going to do something to make some money.
Well, the bottom line, sir, is any way they can get you into the system, they're going to take it, whether that be you going to jail, you being a child and giving it to McGruff the crime dog. I mean, they want everybody's DNA. They want everybody tracked, traced, and databased in everything that they do. We already know they're doing it through this, Hepting versus AT&T trial, where this was the previous administration, and probably the previous administration before that. Alex Jones always talks about the Telecommunications Act of 1996, where they admitted it. So they want as much information on you as possible. This new HR... What's that?
I have a good one for you today. They just tasered a guy in Niagara County to get his DNA because he refused to give it up on the court order.
You know, I was going to cover that story, but he's accused of murder, I believe. So
yeah,
and he gave it, and he did give up. And he listen. I don't like the ruling. There's a story about it over at Infowars.com, but he did give them his DNA at first voluntarily, and they screwed it up. And I think that's why he said no after the fact. And like I said, I'm not fond of the ruling because it's a broad ruling, but they always use the worst of the worst cases. I mean, if this guy is a murderer, they'll say, "See, told you so."
Yeah.
Thank you for the call, brother. Let's go to Eric in Pennsylvania. Eric on the line. Yes, sir.
Jason.
How you doing, Eric?
You know, this always happens. I'm on hold. Tonight I called in with 3 things. Now I have 5 things. First one is the first guy, I think it was Mark from Oregon, called and said you should have like a round table. That's a great idea. I mean, if you think your show is Al-Qaeda now, you get me on the show for 30 minutes. You're going to have a turban on your head, buddy.
Well, it's about as Al-Qaeda as it gets now that Osama bin Laden's releasing new audio tapes.
Oh, yeah, because he's still alive, obviously.
What else you got for me, Eric?
Okay, and the last guy that called about the felonies, forget about felonies. They're asking you on job applications if you've ever been convicted of charged with anything more than a minor traffic violation.
Yeah, I usually see the misdemeanors on. I haven't filled out a job application in
No,
some time.
You jaywalk now. You can't get the job. And on to why I called, Project Natal. I mean, look at that, man. Dude, my kids, honestly, they would be hooked on that. I mean,
well, how crazy is that Milo thing? I mean, they showed you some of the incredibility in that first little teaser clip that I played. But the second clip I played where the little boy is interacting, he's got facial recognition, he can hear your voice and how you're speaking to him. It immediately takes the paper, scans it in, it has the image on there, the computer's interpreting that image. It's seriously something out of 2001: A Space Odyssey where you're constantly interacting with a computer who has a voice.
Well, I saw 2001 when I was 12, and it pretty much changed my life. But, you know, who wouldn't support that game? I mean, that who would think, you know, like that would be bad? But
that has malicious intentions, right?
Well, you obviously are on the right track, you know, designating it as a spy device. Also, today I watched the Bilderberg 2008 extended coverage. Mm-hmm. Seeing Jones by that, what was that hotel?
That was in
Chantilly.
Yeah,
the Marriott in Chantilly. Just listening to him on the megaphone talking about how this international crime syndicate and how they're guarding these criminals. Just seeing the look on their face was just incredible.
Well, Jones does it right, man. I'm a big fan of Alex. I love what he does, and there's a lot of critics out there, but I don't see them outside of the Bilderberg group. I don't see them standing up for freedom. I don't see them confronting tyranny. You know what I'm saying, brother?
Yes, and this was a big issue on today's Alex's show, talking about the white supremacists joining with Al-Qaeda. Now, I would have to say there is some truth to that, because I've debated with these white supremacists. By the way, they're very hateful, and they really do believe what they say. But this is what I want to say, is that they would only support these Arabs if they were killing Jews. That's all they care about, is killing every single Jew on the planet. So,
well, yeah, no, that's what white supremacy is. Well, they'd also like to kill all the blacks eventually and all the Mexicans.
No, it's the Jews more than anything. For some reason, they really, really, really hate the Jews.
Well, they're the main target, but listen, it always starts out that way. It always starts out with, look, Hitler. The Jews were the target at some point, but really not. I mean, it was communists first, then gypsies, then the mentally ill, then the Jews, and there was a big support behind that because anti-Semitism is rampant throughout the world for some reason. And then it was, dissidents and people who don't have jobs and anybody who stood against the system. I thank you for the call, Eric. Gavin in D.C. Gavin, you're on the line. Yes.
How you doing, Jason?
Good.
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, about the police state. Yes, it's very, very evident out here, especially in Washington, D.C. Yesterday, I got pulled over. I had a suspended license, and the officer pulled me over. He watched me stop at the stop sign completely because I seen him. So I stopped at the stop sign completely, rolled up. I went to the Exxon, got gas. You know, he watched me get gas. He pulled over across the street, sat there and watched me. I pulled off, got in the street. He came behind me and turned his lights on, pulled me over, and said, license and registration. Then I gave him registration. I told him off the top that my license was suspended.